Hi guys, welcome back to We Should Talk, a pop culture interview series from In the Know. I'm your host, Gibson Johns, and oh my god, if the beginning of 2021 has not been the most overwhelming 2 weeks of your life, I don't know where you've been. Maybe you're one of those people that's like on vacation and like somehow living their best life. But I am here on the East Coast, in quarantine, in lockdown, and I just like am so overwhelmed by what's happening culturally and politically and in pop culture and celebrity. And I feel like every day I wake up and the people on social media that I follow are talking about something new and I have missed some sort of memo. I try to scroll, figure out what's happening. When I can't figure it out, I just turn my phone off and turn on Netflix. Like, it's just been one of those years, and it's only been 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, honestly, at the time of recording this. And like sometimes I just have to take a deep breath, calm myself, and just realize you don't have to like follow every single storyline because you know the next day will bring something new. So anyway, hopefully this week's episode of We Should Talk brings some sort of like reprieve or levity to your week, because it really is just sort of like a fun conversation with one of the OG Instagram bloggers, Rocky Barnes. Rocky really kind of got her start in the early days of Instagram. She was kind of ahead of the curve when it came to being a model who documented her travels and really kind of led this aspirational life for people to follow on the app. You know, I think that she started kind of like at the very beginning of Instagram in 2011, 2012. That's the year that I got Instagram, and it definitely was nothing like it is today. So she kind of like started this whole influencer economy, along with other people, obviously. She didn't single-handedly do it, but she was really at the beginning of this. And around that same time, she was the music video girl from Justin Bieber's Boyfriend music video back in 2012. And we talked about that in the interview and how she sort of looks back at that moment, because it is one of those things where like there are certain celebrities that have moments that follow them and that really kind of like are always brought up in like the little blurbs or bios that are all over the internet about them. And you know, similarly to like maybe like Emily Ratajkowski in the Blurred Lines music video, that's something that was her breakout moment, and that's something that really follows her, and it's always mentioned. And for Rocky Barnes, it's the Boyfriend music video from Justin Bieber, and she was a love interest in that. And there was kind of an age difference at that time, and so she kind of laughs looking back at that. And because it happened so early on in her career and early on in Instagram, she didn't really see like a huge like follower bump from that, right? Like it was before like that would kind of, there weren't enough people on Instagram for that to happen for her. And so it was just really interesting to hear about sort of like the arc of her career, because she really kind of came up at the same time as this app that now is so overloaded with influencers and people who do what she does, but she was one of the first to do it, and you really have to respect that. I think, you know, another part of our conversation that I really loved was we talked about the term influencer and how it really is still this like catch-all term for so many different types of Instagram people and people that have different presences on the app and post different kinds of content. But I think that the Instagram economy has grown so much that like our terminology for what these people do hasn't caught up to that. There isn't enough nuance in what the term influencer means. And I think that probably Rocky would describe herself more as a blogger. But I also asked about like, you know, because influencers have grown so much, they've almost like become celebrities, and because of that there's like this sort of new like cottage industry that has sprouted up of like people that want to take down influencers. There are so many Instagram accounts that are documented to parsing out the different influencer controversies and things like that, and Rocky has really avoided a lot of controversy throughout her decade or so long career. But other people haven't. You know, you have the Danielle Bernsteins and the Ariel Charnases who have really been embroiled in a lot of controversy, and there's a bunch of other people who have too. But I asked her about that, and she kind of like equated people like that. We didn't name their names, but like that's, I can kind of read between the lines there, to like reality stars who post everything about their lives, and then they are shocked when controversy comes back at them. You know, when you're putting so much on the internet, something is bound to tick somebody else off, or something is bound to hit the wrong kind of like vibe, or not jive with the mood of the world at that point. And so, you know, if you're sharing every single thing about your life, something's going to come back to bite you. And I think Rocky has a really good head on her shoulders and a really good perspective on that, but other people do not. So yeah, we just had a really great conversation. We had a great rapport, and you know, I really loved hearing her thoughts on what it really means to be an influencer in 2021, and where she's kind of go from here. You know, she she started as sort of like this model blogger on the early days of Instagram, became a music video girl. Like now she works with like the best brands in the world. She has a huge following of over 2 million people on Instagram, and she just launched a clothing line called The Bright Side at the end of last year. That's what this interview was sort of pegged to, and it has all these amazing matching sets, and it's very of the moment. It's very much something that you just want to lounge around in, but you can also walk to the store in. And sort of like, so, she just launched this clothing line. Where does she go from here? And I think that, again, she's sort of like at the forefront of navigating this influencer, blogger, Instagram community. So I think watching what Rocky does could be an indicator of like where the rest of her peers go next. So anyway, keep listening for my interview with Rocky Barnes, and don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to We Should Talk on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks, and enjoy the interview. All right, so we're here with Rocky Barnes. Thank you so much for calling in from LA. It's pretty early in the morning over there.
Bright and early.
Yes. How's it going? How's your? We're in 2021 now, so how's your year off? Is it off to a good start?
Well, it feels pretty much the same, but new year, but it's exciting. I think it's a mental, the mental switch over to a new year makes all the difference. But we're good. We're living in a construction zone still. We're in the middle of a remodel with a baby, so that's really fun.
It's a lot. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a lot. Just launched my own line, so add that into the mix, and then add COVID into the mix. It's been really, really fun. We're getting a lot done at home.
That's quite the first year of motherhood for you. It's a pandemic. Yeah. You moved. You launched a clothing line. There was an election. Like there was a lot this past year that you also navigated while navigating motherhood. How has it been like when you with your first year of just being a mom and having all that happening around you?
Honestly, this couldn't have been a better year to have a baby. And I think everyone's catching on because I feel like everyone's pregnant right now.
Everyone's pregnant now. Yeah. Or engaged.
Literally
yeah.
Everyone's pregnant right now. So I think everyone's figuring out that this is like actually an amazing time to have a kid.
Right.
I would say before 2020, my husband, Matt, and I, we would travel, like we were doing maybe 3 international trips a month. We were gone more than we were home. We were traveling at least once a week. And I think if that was still happening and I was still going to events and like traveling around the world, motherhood, as amazing as it is, I also love my job. So it would have been hard and I would have had horrible FOMO.
Yeah.
But because nothing's going on.
FOMO doesn't exist anymore.
literally. It's because of that, I am actually able to just like devote myself full time to my baby and being with him without a care in the world, which is such an amazing feeling. It's taken away all my distractions. All my clients are like, please don't shoot anything not in your home. And I'm like, great, because this kid sleeps and eats every hour. So the fact that I don't have to leave my home is just amazing. So he's definitely the silver lining to 2020. And with all the other crazy stuff going on, like waking up and seeing his like innocent face that has no clue what's going on, it's such a blessing. I'm like, I'm sure. Thank God you will not remember any of this crazy happening in the world. So I'm actually, for such a year, I'm actually pretty grateful I'm doing what I'm doing now. So
good. Has the year, I mean, and being able to really focus on motherhood and be at home, has that changed your perspective on anything as it pertains to work or your career? Or, I mean, I'm sure your perspective has changed a lot on different things, but I'm just curious. Yeah.
Any like life change, right? Yeah. You get a new perspective on. I think this year in general, I think everyone has kind of like a new perspective. Yeah. And that's the thing too, is like, I don't know if it's motherhood or if it's like COVID, but like you just kind of realize how much you care for how important your friends and family are and like your health. And so it's like, I'd like to say it's motherhood, but it might just be 2020. It's
hard to tell, right?
Like, I don't know where the COVID ended and motherhood began, but like this year just kind of made me grateful for that. And I think the one thing motherhood did really change about me is that I don't like put so much pressure on the small things anymore. And for work, especially, I think I was such a people pleaser all the time, like always wanting everyone to be happy and saying yes to everything. And being like, if I'm not doing it, they'll never ask me again. And having this like constant fear of like being out of sight, out of mind.
Mm.
And I think with motherhood, it's given me kind of, and it's weird to think about it this way, it's given me a weird confidence to be able to say no and be like, I have something more important than that event or this one job. Like, it's given me a bigger purpose. And for that reason, it's given me this confidence to be able to say no and to prioritize my time, which I think is such a valuable thing that I have never been able to do for myself.
Absolutely.
So,
I mean, and that makes a lot of sense. And I think I'm
yeah.
sure that you'll take that with you as the world continues to starts to open up whenever that happens. Like that is such a great thing to be able to let yourself know that it's okay to say no and it's okay to
I
pass
hope
off
so.
on
I
something.
hope it
Yeah.
continues because
Yeah.
you look at his little face and you're like,
Uh,
is that worth leaving for? Like,
right.
no.
Right. Totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally.
He makes it
And
easy to say no.
yeah. Yeah. And you've spent almost a decade at this point building up your career and building up your brand to a point where you can say no, right?
Yeah.
Like you have really put in the work, I feel like, and just getting to yourself to a place
The
where you,
hustle, the
yeah, the
hustle.
totally the hustle. And I do want us to take it a little bit back to that. And I just want to hear more about your story and how you did build up your brand and get to where you are. Think back to, what was that year, 2011, 2012, when you first started blogging?
Yeah.
How did you first get into that? Because that's a different world than it is now to get into blogging and being an
Totally.
influencer.
Totally. Well,
Yeah.
I started, I think it kind of all started with my modeling career, and that itself started a little bit later. I went to college at SDSU, got a
Mm-hmm.
marketing degree, always wanted to be in fashion. My dad was like, you can't go to fashion school. You need to get a 4-year degree. And even though I think I would have loved fashion school, I was
Totally.
really grateful for the fact that he introduced me to the whole college experience. And I met a lot
Mm-hmm.
of my best friends. And anyway, got a marketing degree, which I never thought I would use. And I'm randomly kind of using now.
I'm sure you
Thanks,
are.
Dad.
I'm sure it's all coming back. Right. Exactly.
Yeah, it's like those big ideas are somehow still working. But
Mm-hmm.
I started modeling right after college, and I was doing modeling, working at 2 restaurants, doing marketing for this author down in San Diego at the time. So I was like really hustling, like 4 jobs out of college,
Wow.
driving back and forth from San Diego to LA for like a 5-minute casting, like such a waste of my time, but I did it. And, I'm shorter for the modeling world. I'm 5'7". I've always
Mm-hmm.
been a little more of an athletic build. And I think my whole career, everyone was really pushing for me, but they were also like, you're not tall enough, you're too tan, stay out of the sun, like you need to be thinner. And it was always kind of a struggle for me. And then when Instagram came around, people were like, oh yeah, I was posting photos, and I started posting all of my portfolio shots that all my agencies were like, oh, I don't like that one. I don't like that one. And so I was like, but I love all of these.
You love them. Let's celebrate them. Right.
Yeah. So, Instagram kind of became my personal portfolio for my modeling career. And then I was doing a lot of swim and travel stuff because I was doing so much lifestyle shooting. I was in like Bora Bora and Morocco and all these places. And so I ended up, and when you're shooting stuff, you can't wear, or you can't show any of the clothes because it's clothing that doesn't come out for like 6 months, right?
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, oh, you can't wear any of those clothes in your Instagram shot. So I'd put on my own clothes in these amazing locations, take a photo. So I was kind of doing the whole like blogger thing in my career, like super early on.
And that's what I was going to say is I feel like, I mean, you must feel like you were ahead of the curve and in a lot, it's somewhat accidentally, but also somewhat very like you were very much reading the room and being like, okay, like what could this be, down the road?
Yeah.
But you were ahead of the curve.
It was so unintentional, and it was just kind of a product of my modeling career. And it was like, it was amazing because I would never be able to afford to travel to all those amazing places and stay in all these amazing hotels and travel like in a car for 2 hours at 5 a.m. to catch sunrise over the dunes in Morocco and have the opportunity. You know what I mean? Like, who does that? So like I was in the right place at the right time doing all these amazing shoots and capturing it for my Instagram. And it just kind of took on a life of its own. And eventually I remember at the beginning of Instagram, these companies would be like, I'll send you a free bikini if you take a photo and post it. And I'd be like, oh my God, a free bikini. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And that's, again, that's very much the beginning of what is like so everywhere these days. Like that's where it started.
Oh my God, I was like shooting for a free bikini and I was never happier. I was so stoked. I was like, I'll take that free bikini. I'll take a photo in it. Yeah, it was
So
like
is
a
that
dream
when
job.
is that when you sort of realized that you were onto something and that you could potentially incorporate Instagram into like really some way to make a living? And when brands started reaching out and be like, here's something free, like
Totally.
when did it sort of click in your mind, like, oh, this could be something and this could be maybe everything, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was, it was a slow roll. It was definitely a slow roll because it's like I was still modeling part-time or full-time and doing Instagram. And I think
Mm-hmm.
when it got to the point where it became not just free stuff, like we'll pay you for this, I think it kind of clicked in my mind. And then I started booking modeling jobs because of my Instagram.
Right.
And I think then my agencies got interested in Instagram. And when that sort of transition happened, I realized also all these brands were reaching out to me directly and not to my agency. And I had this great debate of like, do I go through my agency or do I take it myself? Like, at what point do I cut out the middleman? And I still work with agencies now, so it's like not fully gone, but I do have the control over my own career, which is what I think is so liberating about Instagram. And one of the most beautiful things about it is it's given back the power to models and
For
actresses
sure.
and so many other industries. So as much as people love to hate on it, I think it's given my career a new life. Like, I just turned 35 and my modeling career should have been done probably 10 years ago. And I'm doing better than I've ever done. So
that's amazing. And that's just it's one, changing of the times, I think, but also like, again, you really have found this way you kind of cracked the code, I think, in a lot of ways. And it's really cool that again, you've continued to build it out. And I think you said people like to hate on it. And that's obviously something that I have noticed as well. It's like, it's like there's almost this sort of like contingent of just like social media or society that I don't know if they don't want to take influencers seriously, or it's just like there's these accounts that sprout up that want to take people down. And I'm just curious, like, that's obviously popped up in recent years, and you've been around in this world for a while now. What do you make of sort of that element of your profession, and that there are people that look to you or maybe more your peers, because you've avoided a lot of controversy, like you haven't had controversy, but some of your peers have had controversy. And what do you make of sort of that whole element to it now, where you're almost like looked at in the same vein as like a celebrity? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have a platform and you have a voice, and it's really great. I think that like not all influencers are the same. It's like, let's compare it to a celebrity world dynamic, since you brought that up. Like, you have the, Brad Pitts and of the world, the Cate Blanchetts, who are like movie stars, and they kind of do their own thing. But then you have, the Kardashians and the reality TV people, and they're all on TV, but in very different ways. And there's a spectrum, right?
Totally.
I think that there's people that are very serious business influencers that are, amazing content creators and are able to share their world in a really, really beautiful way. And I think it's purely a job for them. And then I think there's people that share their entire lives with everyone, down to like, I just woke up, like everything, all the drama. And I think that there's an audience for everything. I think there's an audience for the really curated. I think there's an audience for the reality TV. I would say like reality TV type people. There's an audience for all of them. So like, as I just hate being all grouped into one, because I like to think that everyone has their own voice and is very different. I think that the people that are getting called out and that are drama, it's just like, so stupid that they think that they can act the way they're doing and not be called out. Like, look at all the housewives, like they get called out, the Kardashians get called out. Like, it's not any different. If you're going to be stupid, people are going to call you out. So like, behave yourself.
Totally. Yeah. And it's, yeah. And I think you're right. It's like, if you're putting it all out there, like really all, you have to expect some of it to come back to sort of bite you,
And this is my thing, is that there's pros and cons to both. It's like, I put my life out there, but not everything.
Right.
But I think that when you put your life completely out there, and then it's like you get in what you put out, you know what I mean? So like,
totally.
They have a lot of those people, this is where I was going with that. A lot of these influencers and bloggers that put their entire life out there, they have super high engagement. Like, the people really love them and follow them and are super involved because the influencer is interacting back with them. So like, they get really great engagement, whatever. But you're also going to get that engagement in every way, in the positive.
Exactly. It's not just being positive. Totally. Yeah.
Like, yeah, some people like are a little more of like curated. You're not going to maybe get as much engagement, but you're not going to also get the backlash.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
There's a trade-off to that. You know
yeah.
What I mean?
And I think what you said in terms of like not everyone being grouped together as just like this overarching influencer label, it's interesting because it's almost like the influencer economy, or whatever you want to label it, has sort of like grown so quickly that the sort of like terms that people use haven't caught up yet. There isn't enough nuance, I don't think. And it's just interesting to watch it. It just, again, that world has grown so much, and it's
I try not to take anything personally either. Yeah. Like, if people say influencer, listen, it's not my favorite term, but at the end of the day, like, I'm so grateful for my career, and I'm so grateful for the opportunities that it's given me. So like, I'm not going to hate on it.
Yeah, for sure. And in doing research for this interview, something that always comes up, I think, is that you had a breakthrough moment early in your career a while ago when the Justin Bieber music video for Boyfriend. And I'm curious, like, again, and I've interviewed a lot of people, and I think a lot of times there's something that sticks to somebody, right? It's sort of like, it's mentioned a lot. And I'm curious, like, just from like, in your mind, is it something that you are okay with following you, and you're like, or does it get frustrating to have that sort of always brought up as
No, I think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
I think it's hilarious.
Good.
It was such like a fun moment for me. What makes it even funnier is that like I was 26 when I did that, and he was 18. So like,
that's funny.
I'll take it as a compliment, but they thought I looked like 17 years old, and I was like, I'll take it.
Take it, baby.
But I was like 8 years older than him. So it was like kind of a joke that I was his girlfriend, but it was really funny. And we weren't allowed to have our phones on set at all. They like took all of our phones on set and put them away. So like, we couldn't post anything or do anything behind the scenes. And I think at the time I had like 2,000 followers.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was like really early on. And I think I kind of hoped that it would give me more followers, and it never really did. But you're going to die when you hear the thing that actually gave me the biggest jump, which was not the Justin Bieber video. And I don't even know if I've ever told anyone this, is that like a year after that video, for some reason there was this like viral hashtag that went around, like that Rachel Barnes died. And it was me and these two other girls that died of cancer. And it was this weird rumor that
you just shared a name with them. What? Wow.
That I got backed into. And I woke up the next day and I had gone from like 2,000 to 3,000 followers. And that was like my big jump from
that is so wild.
Was that I like died from cancer. The girl from the Bieber video. It was bizarre.
And so did you have to like be like, no guys, I'm still
here. My mom texted me that day and was like, are you okay?
That is like, wild. That is wild. Oh my gosh.
It was the most bizarre thing. I'm like, where the hell did this come from? Like, it was like a year after the video was out. Like, I was like, oh, I'm going to get all these followers from Justin Bieber. I got none, right?
Wow.
And then like, I got like 1,000 or 2,000 followers when I died. And I was like, oh my God, this is
That's
ridiculous.
so, hey, you had two early on exposures to like big moments, and it probably helped
Right?
you in some ways, prepped you for the
So like
attention.
literally it was like when I had 2,000 followers that all this happened. Like it was so funny.
So
I always
wild.
joke with my husband. I'm like, I probably would have a lot more if I like dated a celebrity or something in the interim,
So
but I was just like a slow growth for me.
so do you have Bieber fans that pop up now and then that like are like, oh, you're the girl from the boyfriend music video,
Oh
or
my God.
no?
Randomly, I have that. And then, like, apparently I was a total video hoe because I was in that video. I was like, when you're modeling and you book a
Hey,
dated,
no, those are big gigs. Those are
well, they
big
don't pay
gigs.
that much, actually. They
Oh,
don't pay compared to
but in terms of
modeling jobs.
exposure, they can be great.
Exposure. So I did this one amazing video, which is like also hilarious. I get more fans from Amir Diab, this like Egyptian pop star, and they're
No way. I
constantly
haven't
on.
seen it.
I did, you don't want to. It's not worth your time. I like
I'm
shot it in
YouTubing it
Mykonos.
later.
I like shot it in Mykonos, and that was the best part is that I was in Mykonos.
I love
Um,
it.
and it was like this. He's like the Michael Jackson of Egypt, and it was like a 4-day shoot in Mykonos. It was crazy,
I
but
love
I get
that.
people being like, "You're the girl from the Amir Diab video." I'm like, "Oh my God, how do you know that?" It wasn't even in the U.S. It's like
It's crazy. It's
Egypt
global.
or
You're global, Rocky.
it's crazy. It's crazy.
Well, obviously since then, I mean, again, it's been a long time since these moments for you, and
Yeah.
you've created again this brand and this persona and this platform for yourself that is obviously it's you, and people have fallen in love with you and your style, and just you have a great eye for
Oh,
things,
thank
and
you.
you've turned it into so many things, and most recently obviously it's the bright side, which is a clothing line that launched
Yes.
last December, and it's so of the moment, but also there are things that you can be wearing for years to come.
Totally.
Talk to me about the bright side, because I also know that its current form is not necessarily what the original plan was for launch.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we had been working on this line actually. I have partners at Reunited Clothing that I'm not a designer, but I have all these ideas. And so
Hmm.
Hilda and her amazing team actually helped kind of bring my vision to life. So I have an amazing team behind me, but um, we started this in 2019, and the vision for it is kind of my dream outfits, my dream closet. It's like very vintage inspired, very masculine, feminine balanced.
Mm.
Definitely like fun colors, and it was supposed to be like dresses and skirts and all of these
Like
things. And
going
then
out stuff, right?
yeah, stuff you would take on summer vacation and whatnot. It was supposed to launch last April. So obviously when COVID hit, it just didn't feel right. The environment was different. It just didn't feel right. So we
Mm.
put that whole collection on hold, which we're hoping to actually launch next spring, summer, or this spring, summer, I guess now. And instead, I kind of designed a collection that just felt right. It was something my husband that could wear, I could wear, my baby could wear. Um, I am a huge fan of hotel pajamas. So doing kind of like a leisure suit based on the
Yes.
classic hotel pajamas that you can be super chic at home in, but also super comfortable. I did them all unisex and oversized because like who wants tight pajamas?
Nope. No. No. No.
No
No.
one,
When
no
you're
one.
when you're
Also,
gorging on ice cream and whatever, when you're watching Netflix, Bridgerton, we were just talking about,
yeah, yeah.
you don't want anything constricting. Come on.
No, you need those stretchy waistbands. Let's be real. So I made these like really fun prints. I did like the mushroom print, which is like an inside joke with my husband and I. I did these really cool like midnight bug prints with like scarabs and beetles. And
Yes.
I was like, I want them to be, the designers first came back at the first round of prints with the mushrooms and the beetles. And they were like cutesy, like nursery cutesy. And
Oh,
I was like, I need these to be ugly, like so
realistic vibes.
ugly,
Yes.
like actual, like I want them to look ugly, like so ugly they're cute, not cutesy.
I love
So
it. Yes.
it was a process, and then we did a lot of color blocking, and then all the knit sets, and
Mm.
it's just everything that you want to wear right now. It felt right. It's my husband loves to be involved with all my clothes. Like anything I get oversized that he can squeeze into, he claims for himself. So I was like, whenever I show him something, like, how cute is this? He's like, that looks like it could fit me. Give it to me. So I was like, I need to
Sharing
do
a
something
wardrobe.
the
I
whole
love it.
family can
Yeah.
wear. Yeah, yeah. So It was so fun, and I'm so proud of the collection. And each piece is like a statement on its own, but also very wearable. Like I'm constantly mixing things up and wearing the leisure set, like with jeans, and the robes can be inside as robes or as sweaters outside. And everything is super soft and super cozy, and the whole family can wear it. So it's just been really fun, and I'm excited for the next collection.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm sure since you launched in early December, you've seen people post pictures of themselves wearing it on Instagram and tagging you.
it's so
What's it like
crazy.
seeing that? That must be pretty cool.
It's, I've done collabs in the past. I had
Yeah,
like
of course. Yeah.
Express and Aldo and stuff, and obviously like super excited and proud, but like I never thought I would be so nervous. I was terrified before this line launched. Like I'm never nervous about that kind of stuff. And I like could not sleep. I was like a kid before
Wow.
Christmas, but like anxiety Christmas. Like, oh my God, what if no one likes it? And like my confidence just like plummeted the night before. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. And you put so much work into it, and there's so many details. And as the like creative behind it, it's like I could have nitpicked it for like months. I feel like it's never fully done. I'm never
right.
like, I love everything, but like I would have done this a little different and this a little different, and you're constantly working on it. But seeing everyone in it and loving it, it's the best feeling.
Yeah.
It's
well, you
so
can always
cool.
and you can always put those changes in your next line,
Totally.
in the next season. So that's the cool part, is that this is an ongoing situation.
Yeah. And honestly, that's how most brands work. Like you have like your staple piece, and you fine tune it because you carry it over season to season when people really love it. And then you eventually get it to perfection. And it takes a long time. I think if you talk to any designer, you don't perfect something on the first fit. Like we got it pretty freaking close, but I think, moving forward, it'll be really fun to kind of see everything really perfected and really fine tune everything over the collection to collection. So,
and it's also really fun perusing the website and seeing some of the promotional material. It's your family modeling the stuff together. It's your husband and your son, and that's also pretty. I mean, obviously your fans and your followers have seen pictures of you guys all together a bunch, but it's cool to have that also part of like this new line that you're doing, and this like actually this true business venture that they're a part of it with you, and that's really fun.
It's very special. It's like this is such a passion project, and so much love is put into it. So it makes me happy that people can see that. Like it's been a process. It was not easy, but it's so fun to see everything kind of come to life. And plus you got to get Jones in there while he'll still smile for the camera. Cause like, who knows how long that's going to last. Right. Like
who knows? Seriously.
He's already a wiggle worm. He's already like, nah. So it's like, my husband's always like, take too many photos of him. I'm like, he's not going to sit still much longer.
There's no such thing. There's no such thing. Sorry.
No.
When they're growing that fast, come on.
I only get like a year, and then he's like off to do his own. So leave me alone.
So what in your mind, what does the future of the Bright Side look like? Like sort of, we have one collection and you just mentioned the next one, but sort of, is this something you want to keep continuing, or is this? How does it fit into what you have planned?
I've always had this like dream of having a full kind of lifestyle brand. I admire, like I always say, I wanted to mix between like Rachel Zoe and Martha Stewart, because like I love how Martha Stewart touches on everything, but then like Rachel Zoe is way more my style. Like she obviously has the cool factor, and I know Rachel, and she's amazing, and she's such a mentor and someone that I admire in the business so much. And like seeing a fashion brand kind of eventually overflow into like home and beauty and like entire lifestyle would be the dream. I definitely want to take it slow. I think like organic growth is so important, and really like seeing what is working and what's not, and letting the customer kind of evolve with you. So that's the part of this process I'm really excited to see.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see what different forms it takes in the future. And
thank you.
Lastly, what else? Do you have anything else fun coming up for 2021 that you can kind of tease or talk about? Because it's obviously a new year, and we hope that we can get back out there, but who knows what it looks like, you know? And
I know. Well, Brightside is going to be launching its next collection in a few months, so definitely stay tuned for that. It's really, really fun. It's more feminine based, but there's definitely some unisex pieces in there that are going to be really cool. So that's kind of what's next on my plate. Hoping we can travel again.
Yeah.
Nothing planned yet.
What's at the top? What's at the top of your travel list? Like if you the first flight you want to take,
somewhere
what
warm.
Is it? Yeah.
Somewhere very warm where I can lay on the beach. Yeah, for sure.
Same.
But until then, we'll be working on Brightside, working on our house, and just kind of
living your life. I
love it. Yeah. So,
well, Rocky, it was so fun chatting with you. Where can people follow you and keep up with the Brightside after listening to this?
So you can follow me on Instagram, Rocky_Barnes. And you can also follow Shop the Brightside on Instagram. And you can link to Shop the Brightside and Shop the Brightside by RockyBarnes.com, all in my profile on Instagram. So
love it. Well,
right now, we're just doing direct to consumer on our website. But if you are in New York, we do have an amazing pop-up at Showfields. So you can check everything out.
It's a cool space. Yeah, I love that place.
So we just got in the end of December, and I think we'll be there for the next couple months. So if you want to see, touch, feel everything in person, which I highly recommend doing, you can go check everything out at Showfields in NYC. So
love it. Well, Rocky, it was so fun to meet you and talk to you, and I hope this isn't the last time. We'll talk soon.
Yes, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. For more celebrity interviews, subscribe to We Should Talk on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. If you like what you heard, please rate and review us, as any show of support you can give us would be greatly appreciated. You can follow me at Gibsonoma on Twitter and Instagram, and you can follow In The Know at In The Know on Twitter and at Watch In The Know on Instagram. We'll talk to you next time.